Good morning and welcome to this morning's reflection. It's good to be together again this morning. Our age constitutes a virtual conspiracy against the interior life. And that is a gentle way of saying that within our culture, distraction is normal. Prayer and solitude are not. There is little that is contemplative within our culture and within our lives. Why is this? We are not by choice or ideology a culture set against solitude, interiority, and prayer. Nor are we more malicious, pagan, or afraid of interiority than they were in the past. Where we differ from the past is not so much in badness as in busyness, in hurriedness. We do not think contemplatively because we never quite get around to it. Perhaps the most apt metaphor to describe our hurried and distracted lives is that of a car wash. When you pull up to a car wash, you are instructed to leave your motor vehicle running, to take your hands off the steering wheel, and to keep your foot off the brake. The idea is that the machine itself will suck you through the car wash. For most of us, that is just what our typical day does to us. It sucks us through. We now have radios within our alarm clocks which go off before the alarm actually wakes us. We have cell phones that wake us in a variety of different ways. Hence, we are already stimulated before we are fully awake. When we rise to a radio to shower or to a cell phone to shower and dress and ready ourselves for work, we are stimulated by news, music, commentary. Breakfast and the drive to work follow the same pattern. We listen to the radio, engage with our phones, engage in conversation, plan our agendas, stimulated and preoccupied. We spend our day working, necessarily preoccupied, our minds on what we are doing. When we return home, there is the television, there is the internet, there's conversation, there are activities, and there are preoccupations of all kinds. Eventually we go to bed, where perhaps we read, or we look at our phones, or we watch a bit more TV, and finally we fall asleep. Where in all of this did we take time to think, to be contemplative, to pray, to wonder, to appreciate, simply to enjoy, to be restful, to be grateful just for being alive, to be grateful for love, for health, for God? The day just sucked us through. I suspect that your coffee or tea circles are similar to mine. Possibly there are very few contemplative moments that we take when we sit around talking. It's a rat race, we might say to ourselves. We should do something. We drive too hurriedly, we live too impatiently, we eat too fast, we work too hard, we are too preoccupied, too busy. We don't take time to smell the flowers. This is often the conversation, but nothing ever changes. As Mark Twain said, it's like the weather. Everyone complains about it, but nobody does anything about it. Socrates commented that the unexamined life is not worth living. I suspect that our age would counter with the unlived life is also not worth examining. We have taken to examining our lives less and less. The effect of this is the same everywhere. We see it in the way we eat, in the way we drive, in our inability to relax, in our lack of humor and reflectiveness, and need I say it, in our lack of prayer. I do not want to be judgmental, but I would suspect that most people in our culture today pray very little, at least in terms of private prayer. I suspect that the average person's prayer life consists of possibly a short, hurried prayer in the morning, an even more distracted and hurried prayer before meals, and another hurried prayer before retiring at night. That's precious little. But our inability to be contemplative does not only show itself in our lack of prayer. That is merely a symptom of something that's much more deeply amiss within us. What our hurried lifestyle and our propensity for distraction is really doing is robbing us of solitude. As solitude diminishes, life seems less and less worth living. Ironically, most of us crave solitude. As our lives grow more pressured, as we grow more tired, and as we begin to talk more about burnout, we fantasize about solitude. We imagine it as a peaceful, quiet place, ourselves walking by a lake, watching a peaceful sunset, sitting by the fire. But even there, we make solitude yet another activity, something we do. We attempt to take solitude like we take a shower. It is to understand, or it is understood as something we stand under, we endure, we get washed by, and then we return to normal life. Solitude, however, is not that. Solitude is a form of awareness. It is a way of being present and perceptive within all of life. It is having a dimension of reflectiveness in our ordinary lives that brings with it a sense of gratitude, appreciation, peacefulness, enjoyment, and prayer. It is a sense within ordinary life that ordinary life is precious, sacred, and enough. How do we develop such a dimension within our lives? How do we foster solitude? How do we get a handle on life so that it does not just suck us through? How do we begin to lay a foundation for prayer in our lives? How do we come to gratitude and appreciation within an ordinary life? Erich Fromm was asked to give a simple recipe for psychic health in a culture that is as pressured as ours. Half an hour of silence once a day, twice a day if you can afford the time. That will do marvelous things for your health, he answered. Fromm's answer was not intended to be a religious one. He was no Thomas Merton. But it might have come from Thomas Merton. I can think of no better spiritual advice to give to a culture that conspires against interiority. Try prayer and try silence. 1/2 hour a day, twice a day if you can afford the time. It will do marvels for your health. As well, in a culture that conspires against the interior life, it will be a political act. May you be blessed today in the midst of your busyness. in the midst of the many things that demand your attention. May you be present to all that happens in your day to day, and may you find half an hour of silence. Amen.